on, y'all? It's your boy Tweedy. It is tier list season. Let's get a tier list in before Final Combat. I see Ketchup and Mustard doing it, so let's get on the bandwagon. Haven't done a tier list in a while, and I definitely have some changes to my opinion since then. So let's go ahead and make the tiers. So these definitely aren't the tiers that I want. So let's figure it out. So S tier will be the top tier. That's fine. Add a tier. Yeah, add some tiers. No, 5 tiers is fine. 5 tiers is fine. Okay, so A plus. No, we'll do it like this. We'll do it like this. Fuck the letters. Fuck the letters. We'll do it like this. Top. Top tier. We'll do high tier. 420. High tier like 420. We'll do mid tier. We'll do uh low tier. And then we'll do trash. No, no, hold on. We'll do mid low tier, mid to low, and then we'll do low. We'll do low tier. Cuz I don't want to be like, you know how like people will put trash tier at the bottom and then they'll put no one there and they'll be like cuz no one's trash. But I want to have it to where my tiers characters are in all my tiers. You know what I mean? I'm tired of this like making a statement with no one's in trash tier, but I'm gonna have trash tier to illustrate that. You know what I mean? Type of deal. Fuck all that. So let's get started, y'all. Let's get started. So we got Ashra first. So Ashra is okay. So I'm just gonna place him right away, and then I'm gonna explain. So I think Ashra's high tier. I don't think she's top tier, not because she has weaknesses, but because I think other characters are just better than she is. They're just dirtier. Like she's really good, right? She has some of the best normals in the game, disjointed hitboxes. She's got like a good little projectile game if you pair with the right cameo with her and use like her back forward two to phase through other projectiles. Her mix-ups aren't very good. They're pretty reactable even online, but you can get some like decent strike throw going. And that's another thing. Like she's not really in order for her to win, because against good players, they're going to be reacting to your overhead. You kind of have to rely on strike throw, but her throws are like they're not comboing right. She's not so good with like the combo throwing cameos like Scorpion, Cyrax, stuff like that. So you're really relying on like 11 to 13% throws and then finally getting that big opening or just playing good neutral. And I just feel like even though she is really good with all that, and also she's like +1 off her Dark Stance dashes, even though she is really good with all that, I feel like the characters in top tier are just dirtier. Just plain and simple, they're just dirtier. Okay, now Baraka. Now this is with Cyrax in mind. And I'm going to be real with y'all. Okay, I need to be real with y'all real quick. I feel like Baraka Cyrax is not as good as it used to be, right? Because the damage is 10% less. And on top of that, the chip, they don't build meter on Floss Block anymore. So it's not like it used to be, but it still is really good. Baraka Cyrax really dumb. 40% one bar, throw combo, stuff like that. And plus frames, all that good stuff. Kano actually does give you a couple things Cyrax doesn't, but I think because of the throw combo and extra damage, it is probably his best team in most matchups now. And I would say all that considered, I would say he's high tier above Ashra. I would say he's like top 10 range, I would say. That's where I would put Baraka right now. Really good range, really good neutral with like his down four stand two, uh, back 4-3 into cameo, high damaging projectile. He's got one of the truest shimmies in the game with his back three. And you can use like Cyrax and Kano to like make that into a special safer plus. So yeah, Baraka really good. I just think some characters are a little better than him. But yeah, really strong, really strong. Okay, so Ermac. Ermac is he's interesting, right? Because he's got some of the best offense in the game, right? With his disjointed normals, cancels, and even though his cancels are minus, you can do like cancel into backdash into a disjointed normal, so they can't poke you anyways. You know what I mean? And then with Janet, he's getting a combo off his shimmy, which is one of the truest shimmies in the game with his 1-2-3, and you're getting big combos off his throw. So he's got some of the best offense in the game. Got good neutral with his disjointed normals. He's got kind of a weird like spacing full screen game though, because like his projectile game's kind of weird with like that low stomp, a lot of recovery, very readable, very reactable. Um, so kind of same story as Baraka and Ashra, where I think he's really strong, but I think other characters are just better. I would probably put him like in between Baraka and Ashra. I would say maybe above Baraka, probably in between Baraka and Ashra, I would say, is where I would put Ermac. Yeah, combos off his armor as well. Yeah, I would probably put him in between Baraka and Ashra right now. Okay, so General Shao. General Shao, pretty good. He's got a really good he's got one of the best buttons in the game with his stand too. He's got the best like base moveset mix-ups in the game, like unreactable overhead and low. Other characters aren't really working with that. Obviously, without a strong fast mid, it's hard to kind of get those going at times. But yeah, he's got good damage. He's got good little like sequences with Chameleon and stuff. I would say overall, he's probably in the grand scheme of the game, you can win with him. You could win tournaments with him if you outplay enough. But I would say overall, he's probably mid tier right now. Definitely good though. Here's the thing: even the low tier characters in this game with the right cameos, I feel like are very good. But like for example, people think Havoc's the worst character in the game, and I would tend to think that he's around that range. But I lose to that Summer dude on ranked all the time with Havoc. It's just like this game is pretty balanced. Like for example, like I don't know if y'all follow the Smash Melee scene, but like the gap between like Fox on that game and like a mid tier character is like an ocean. Whereas like the gap on this game between top one and bottom one is like a pond. You know what I mean? It's like a pond, like in size. You know, so keep that in mind when I'm ranking these characters. So even though I put Shao mid tier, I do think he's very strong. You can win a tournament with him if you outplay enough. You know, but you will have to do a good amount of outplaying with Shao when going against some of these high and top tier characters. You know what I'm saying? So now Geras. So here's the thing about Geras, right? He's got really good damage, really good setups. And but the thing about him is like his neutral and defensive options are pretty shit, right? Like his down one's the worst in the game, armor move one the worst in the game, and his neutral overall is not that good. Like what are you really swinging? Like back one, forward two, maybe down four. Most Gearses they just rely on like forward three sweep and sweep, which are like low reward, high risk options. You know, people could jump sweep, they could block forward three, and forward three is like -30. So, you know, that kind of sucks. But when he does get hit, he does do a lot of damage. Um, some cameos can help him out. So I would probably say I think he's good, but I would consider him like low tier right now, to be honest. You can win with him if you outplay enough, you land enough forward threes, you make enough reads on grabs, stuff like that. But I would say overall he's low tier right now. Okay, so Havoc. Yosef Kukui. All right, so Havoc. Havoc is like kind of underrated in a way because he's probably one of the worst characters, but people love to like say things are extreme, right? They love to be like, "Oh, the worst characters are ass, the best characters are so broken." Um, but in reality, even though Havoc's on the lower end, he has a lot of dumb stuff, right? Like his down four is really strong. His mind games off his mids with the right cameo are really good. He's got like that plus jab string. He's got unblockable combos, stuff like that, meterless combos. His projectile is pretty good against some of the roster. But overall, even with all that, I would say he's lacking compared to a lot of the cast. So I would say he's probably. I'm going to be real with y'all. I would be way more afraid of running into a Havoc than a Geras. So I would say mid low. I would say Havoc's mid low. I don't think he's bottom one or like bottom two, but yeah. I would say he's like mid low. All right, now Homelander. Homelander's in a very buggy, weird state. Um, and I do feel like when they fix those bugs and he loses some of his dirt, like the corner, like block infinite, the 40% meterless BMBs and stuff like that, he will drop a little bit because he does share that similar thing to Geras where he has an awful down one, awful armored move. He does have way better neutral than Geras though, so you know you gotta consider that as well. But I feel like with all his dirt right now, even with his like defensive flaws, he's definitely top tier right now, I would say. I don't think he's the best character in the game. That character's coming up a little later. But yeah, he's definitely top tier. Now, it's kind of an irrelevant placement, right? Because he's not going to be legal at Final Combat, and he's going to be nerfed after Final Combat. So it's kind of an irrelevant placement. But if y'all want to know where I think Homelander is currently, I think he is top tier right now. All right, so Johnny. Johnny, y'all already know the deal with Johnny. He's got the best up close game in the game. He's got great combos. He's got like Yeah, just overall like amazing frame data, amazing neutral, good combos. And the thing about him is like you could be like, oh, he gets zoned. Well, because of like shadow kick and cameo and stuff like that, he's actually a nightmare for zoners. So like the one weakness he should have on paper is actually kind of a strength for him, right? Like you look at characters like Peacemaker and Quan and stuff like that. Johnny's one of their biggest nightmares. You know what I mean? Because he's just so good at getting in, and then once he gets in, he's so juicy up close. And then a lot of the cast, besides Peacemaker and Quan, let's be real, they're not even really good at zoning like that. So Johnny is like pretty clearly one of the best characters right now. It's pretty like simple, clean cut, you know. Um, but yeah, let's move on to the next character. So Kenshi. So the thing about Kenshi is like people love to be like, oh, Homelander, he's got that jump for infinite in the corner. Kenshi's been doing infinite since day one, you know what I mean, with Sento. And his infinites lead into launching 50-50, stuff like that. And you could be like, oh, he's got to get a hit or he's got to get a block string to get that off. It's like cry me a river, bro. Like outplay someone one time to get your fucking block infinite going. You know what I'm saying? Now you could be like, oh, but people could do armor into cameo to get out of Sento, stuff like that. They could zone him. And I would agree with you. I would agree with you. I do think certain characters are hard for Kenshi. Now, here's the thing about Kenshi. Here's my thing that I want to explain. Look at all the Kenshi players in this game. Where was their Kenshi on MKX? Where was their Kenshi on MK9? They're not playing Kenshi because they like him. They're playing him because they're tier whores. So whenever a matchup offers them a little bit of resistance, they think the matchup is bad. So whenever you look at a Kenshi tier like matchup chart, you have to move the matchups all up by one because they think that 5/5s are bad because they don't want any resistance, and they think that like 4/6s are 3/7s. You know what I mean? So characters like Peacemaker and Quan, they probably do actually beat Kenshi because they're able to zone him, get out of his Sento with like armor and a cameo, stuff like that. But all these characters where like they maybe have one option or two, fucking they don't beat Kenshi, bro. They're like 5/5 at best, you know what I mean? But here's another thing about Kenshi. Y'all might be like, "Oh, why isn't Kenshi a Final Combat then?" I'll explain. So, like I said, Kenshi is a tier whore pick in this game, but there's two better tier whore picks. So the smartest players, the ones that make it into Final Combat, they're tier whoring with those two other characters. And if you're not tier whoring with those top two characters, just pick who you like at that point. You know what I mean? Like Javier's not picking Scorpion because he's better than Kenshi. He's picking Scorpion because that's who he likes. Ninja, players like Ninja and players like Nikolas, they're picking the two characters better than Kenshi because they're smarter tier whores than the people tier whoring on Kenshi. So that's why you don't see much Kenshi. You don't not see much Kenshi because he's not top five, top three. It's because the smarter tier whores pick the two better characters, and then the non-tier whores that are smart, they pick who they like. That's why Kenshi's kind of the odd man out, you know what I mean, in that situation. So that's basically the situation with Kenshi, in my opinion. He is super top tier, but don't expect to see as much of him as Johnny and a character coming up later. Okay, so Katana. Um, Katana's got a lot of dirty stuff, right? Like she's got really long normals, decent zoning. She's got really good conversions, combo setups, stuff like that. But I feel like she is a little more flawed than like the top tier characters. Like she has a lot of like important gaps in her stuff. You know what I mean? Like her main mid, her main pressure string. She has some important gaps in that can be blown up. Um, and her buttons, besides like back two, aren't the greatest, but she's still very good, right? Like I'm not. I don't know. She's not like the. I don't want to like downplay her too much, but I just do think the top tiers are better. I would probably place her around like here ish. Maybe one spot above Ermac, maybe one spot below. I would say, yeah. Yeah, I would say that's where I got Katana right now, yeah. Okay, so Kung Lao. Let's talk about Kung Lao. My opinion on Kung Lao hasn't really changed. I feel like all he's really got is super broke armor, dive kick, decent projectile, decent jab string, decent down four. That's really all he's got, really, right? You can get some cool stuff going with like safe jump setups into his plus sweep or overhead. But overall, his neutral is struggling so bad that despite him having arguably the best strengths in this game, um, it's hard for me to put him top tier. I would say he's probably like like around like here, I would say. I would say he's probably around like there. Just my opinion. I feel like his downsides are like holding him back, even though he does arguably like his armor move's probably the best move in the whole game. You know what I mean? But his kit's not well rounded enough. Well, besides Sento, Sento's a bear move, but yeah, his kit's not well rounded enough. You know what I mean? Like Kenshi players love to be like, oh, he only has Sento. No, he also has a dumbass long ass disjointed mid. He also has a dumbass jab string where he low profiles jabs. Like, you know what I mean? Kung Lao, it's literally he just has armor and everything else he's like, eh. You know what I mean? But that armor is so good and like he does have some mix-ups and stuff. So yeah, I would say he's like high tier. All right, so Lime, her problem is she has like the worst neutral, like one of the worst neutrals. Like it's a little bit better than Gearus's, right? And she does have a better projectile game than Gearus. Like all Gearus has is like that -20 sandstorm, or it's like -25 or whatever. But yeah, just really bad neutral. It's hard to overcome that. Bad buttons, hard to overcome that. Really important gaps in her stuff like that. Her damage is really good though. Her conversions are good. Her jab string is actually kind of decent. So I won't say she's like low tier. I would say she's like mid low above Havoc. That's where I would put her. Yeah. All right. So Liu Kang. Liu Kang. He's got really good fireball game. He's got really good up close game. I feel like just other characters have better up close game and better zoning than him, and his mid range game is kind of weak. So despite all his strengths, I feel like he's not as good as some people think. But like the strike throw game with him is just so good that it's hard to put him like in mid tier. So I would say overall he's probably like high tier, I would say. Like right below Kung Lao, I would say. Yeah. Would I have Johnny that high without Cyrex? Yeah. With Chameleon, yeah. Okay, so Melina next. Melina with Chameleon is like the strongest mix-up character in the game, probably. Like you could do anything in the like Melina ball roller, like EX low sign to Melina. You can do like stand one into low side, into flow, into combos, or like 1-2 for the overhead. And then when you have Glaive, you can just do brain dead Glaive stuff. So just because of that team of Melina Chameleon, while that exists, I think Melina is pretty high up there. She does have a bit of flaws. Like anytime you do something with Melina, you're going to be unsafe, right? You have to make a read. Like if you go into 1-2, if you do one into side, you're unsafe. If you do 1-2, they can floss block that. If you do 1-2 into side, they can block that. You know what I mean? So she's so committal compared to a character like Johnny or something like that, or even like Homelander or like Kenshi. Like Kenshi is literally putting you into Sento on block these days. You know what I mean? Like if you block, it's like Christmas for him. So Melina, because she's so committal compared to the top tiers, I have trouble putting her in top tier. But I would say she's around like here right now with Chameleon. I think she's like borderline top tier. I think she's like borderline into top tier, but she's not quite there. Is what I would say. Now Natara is a character that I have the least knowledge on in the game. Um, I almost want to make like a I don't know tier and put Natara there. I just don't have much experience versus good ones, so I'm just gonna kind of like guess, I guess, and say that she's like right here. I don't know. I'm not even gonna front and act like I know about Natara, y'all. I'm just gonna kind of guess and say she's right there. All right, so Omni Man, he's really good, right? Like, he's got really good damage, meterless damage too. He's got decent frame data. Well, here's the thing: he's got actually really good frame data, but the problem is he has some important gaps, so that kind of holds it back a little bit. But you can make reads and stagger and stuff. If you add like Movado, he's got really good conversions, can convert off his armor and all types of stuff, off at the end of his strings, off his mid. If you put Lao on him, he's got insane neutral and runaway game. Um, so I would say overall, he's probably like he's probably like right here, probably like right there if played optimal. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting too many characters in high tier, and if I drop Ashra to mid tier, I'm gonna get fucking flamed, bro. You know what I'm saying? If I drop Oscar to mid tier, I'm gonna get fucking flamed. But no, I do think all those characters are on a similar power level, so I'm not gonna drop any of them. Not gonna drop any of them. Yeah, okay. So moving on. Peacemaker top one. Don't give a fuck what anyone says. I know Nikolaos won the tournament. Ninja Killer was on his 2 week Peacemaker and barely lost. We'll see at Final Combat when he's got way more time into Peacemaker. Peacemaker's fucking broke, dude. Like, he's got the best zoning in the game. Like, he actually zones people out for real. Like, for real. And if you add, like, Kano onto him so you have that consistent ambush, you can do dumbass mix up close. Like, you can get in if you need to for free. Like, he's broke as fuck. Like, what else needs to be said? Jab string is plus on block for some reason. His mid string is like so fucking solid for some reason. Like like what is going on? Like literally like they nerfed him, he's still the best character. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. If you disagree, fair enough, but I think Peacemaker is the best character in the game. Not by far, right? He's not like largely above Johnny, Kenshi, Homelander, but he's fucking the best character. Like, come on, bro. Like, let's be real. I know Ninja lost, but it was his 2 week Peacemaker. We'll see at Final Combat when, he's got another month in the character. We'll see. All right, so Quan Chi. Quan Chi's really good, right? He does have some flaws. He has big flaws, right? His strings are trash. His pokes are trash. But his zoning, like, it's like really strong. Like, it's like Peacemaker level strong. He just doesn't have that like dumb up close game like Peacemaker does. Like Peacemaker has realer mix, faster buttons, better frame data. Um, so I would say overall, like you could win with Quan for sure, but I would probably put him like. Okay, I'm gonna be real. Besides Natara, Quan's who I know the least about in the game, so I'm just gonna kind of guess where he's at, and my guess is like right here. That's my guess. I'm just kind of guessing at this point though. Okay, Raiden. So Raiden, he got huge nerfs, right? Like Storm Cell is trash. It's not trash, right? It's trash compared to what it was. Compared, like I'm sure Havoc would love Storm Cell in its current state. You know what I mean? Or Natara. Like, let's not act like Storm Cell's not better than what a lot of characters have. You know what I mean? Even in its current state, forward four and down four is still dumbass buttons. His jab string is still plus on block, even without committing to the part with a gap. Um, his damage, it's okay. His like projectile game and like teleport game with the right cameo is really good. But overall, I would say Raiden is probably mid right now. Probably mid. I would say I don't know if I put him ahead of Shao or not. I would say he's mid right now. Yeah, I would say he's mid. Just my opinion right now. All right, so Rain. Here's the thing about Rain. Rain, like tools wise, I'm not even kidding. Rain tools wise is like right here. Here's the problem with Rain. He gets absolutely fucking dunked on by Peacemaker, right? He gets absolutely dunked on by Peacemaker. And you might be like, oh, Kenshi gets absolutely dunked on by Peacemaker. Bro, if Kenshi hits Peacemaker, bro, he's still in Sento at the end of the day. So even though Kenshi does lose to Peacemaker, he has more of a chance to win than Rain does. You know what I'm saying? He has more of a chance to win than Rain. So I feel like that drops Rain a little bit, but it doesn't drop Rain too much. So I feel like he's probably like right here. He's just so broke with like his disjointed normals, his ability to get like throw combos and like dumb setups with like Janet and Cyrax. Cyrax gives him pressure. Janet gives him like 48% BMBs off everything. So yeah, I feel like tools wise, Rain is like right here ish. But I feel like the matchup against Peacemaker being so bad drops him like down here, I would say, personally. All right, so Reiko. Now, Reiko's really good, right? He's got really good projectile, one of the best in the game. He's not really zoning people, though. Like, let's be real. If you want to get in on Reiko, you're getting in. He's not like Peacemaker or Quan. Like, if you want to get on Reiko, you're in, you know? But his up close game's really good, right? His down four, his jab strength, his command grab, the combo, stuff like that. And he's got a good matchup spread, right? Like, who's really shitting on Reiko? Like, who's really shitting on Reiko? Like, he doesn't do that bad against Peacemaker. He arguably beats Johnny. Maybe he gets shit on by Kenshi. I don't know that matchup at all. Haven't played it from either side. Not sure. I don't know. Reiko's good, man. I would say he's like right here, maybe right here. I would say he's above Rain just because of his matchups, right? I feel like Rain has some worse matchups than Reiko. Like Reiko's not really getting shit on by certain characters like, or I mean, Reiko's not really getting shit on by certain characters like Rain is. You know what I mean? So I would put Reiko one spot above Rain. Okay, Reptile. I feel like Reptile is probably low tier. I would put him above Gearus. Um, so what's Reptile's positives, right? His neutral's okay. His neutral's not as bad as Gearus. It's okay. It would be better if he didn't have as many gaps, if his projectile was a little faster, stuff like that. But yeah, it's okay where it's at. His damage decent. But besides that, Reptile's like he's kind of got nothing going for him, man. Like he's okay. Like it's not that you can't win with Reptile and Gearus. It's just like dude, I'm way more scared running into a Havoc than Reptile. I don't know about y'all. I run into a Reptile. If I lose, I'm like, that guy really outplayed me. You know what I mean? With Havoc, sometimes I might get unblockable comboed and fucking into Cyrax or some bullshit. And it's like, yeah, the Havoc player outplayed me, but I feel less outplayed than if I lose to a Reptile, just me personally. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Reptile is just such an ordinary man in this game. He's just such a like an ordinary slimy boy. Like, you know what I mean? He's not terrible, but he just doesn't have much going for him. That's just my opinion. Um, yeah. He's got decent neutral though. That makes him above Gearus in my mind. I feel like Gearus neutral and like defensive options are just so bad. Like it's so hard to come back from that. Just my opinion. Okay, so Scorpion. Scorpion is probably okay, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I feel like Scorpion thrives a lot off of opponent mistakes. And like year one, year two, even year three of the game, when people aren't as good, and there you got a player like Javier playing him who's so skilled, you're gonna see him thriving off of that. But I feel like overall the tools of Scorpion are kind of mid, right? Like he's got a decent runaway game with like back three and like he can like do like down three and stand two and neutral. Like his neutral's solid. Teleport stuff is a little gimmicky. One thing about him though is his damage is really good. His damage is really good. So you got good damage, you got good neutral, you got decent on block mine games. You can't be bad, right? Like you can't be like trash. But yeah, I feel like he's kind of mid. I feel like he's kind of mid at the end of the day. Um, yeah, that's probably where I would put him. Okay, so Shang. Here's the thing about Shang, right? I know I put him kind of low last time, but I feel like honestly, like, okay, here's the thing about Shang. So a lot of characters do stuff he does better, but that doesn't mean he doesn't do those things good too, though. He just doesn't do them as good as others. You know, like characters like Reiko, Peacemaker, stuff like that. His fireball game is solid. His like poke special game pretty good with like Cyrax being back, especially with and we are doing this tier list with Cyrax in mind. His combo's not too bad, conversion's not too bad. His neutral's okay. Um I don't know. Overall, I would say like he's probably and he's one of the characters I know the least about. It's like him, Natara, and Quan I know the least about. So I'm just gonna kind of guess where he's at and say like mid tier, like low mid, like the lowest in mid, I would say. Yeah, that's where I would put him. Okay, so Sindel. So Sindel's got really good neutral, like some of the best neutral in the game. Good projectile game. Not the best projectile game, but solid. She can even outzone some characters with strong projectile games like Reiko, with the like the right gameplay. She's got really good mix-ups and like setups with like Kung Lao cameo. She's got decent she's got actually really good pressure if you're willing to spin bar. Um I feel like what holds her back compared to like Johnny Peacemaker, Kenshi, is to win with her at the end of the day, you have to throw them over and over again. And I feel like Johnny Peacemaker Kenshi with the right cameos, they're doing way dirtier shit than that. You know what I mean? But Sindo obviously she does get dirty once she gets a hit, right? Because she can do that Lao setup. So she's not as like poorly off with like Ashra as far as like steamrolling people. Um so I would say she's probably bottom of top tier, I would say, is Sindel. Yeah, she's like Ashra with more dirt, I feel like. Is how I feel about Sindel. Obviously there are some differences. She's more of a projectile character than Ashra. It's not as simple as that. But as far as how they fit in the meta is what I'm saying. I feel like she's kind of like Ashura with more dirt, basically. So yeah, I'm gonna put her bottom of top tier. Okay, so now we're looking at Smoke. Smoke, I'm gonna be completely real with y'all. I'm gonna be completely honest, and y'all have to really listen to what I'm saying before you get mad. Smoke normally, and after Final Combat, when they change Cyrax back, will be like right here. But with Cyrax, homie is like right here, bro. Am I wrong? With Cyrax, he's like right here. Am I tripping? This fool is broke with Cyrax, bro. Net into invisibility, like teleport into Cyrax, like, am I tripping? Am I tripping when I say with Cyrax right now, he's like right here? Here's the thing. Without Cyrax, I think he's like right here. But I think with Cyrax, I think he is one of the biggest beneficiaries, is that how you say it, from Cyrax right now. And y'all might be like, what about Raiden Cyrax? Storm Cell into Cyrax is like -2 right now. Like, it's not what it used to be, you know what I mean? He's not eating as good off of Cyrax as people think. But Smoke is, bro. Baraka is. Rain is. I don't know. I think Smoke is. What matchups does Smoke win? Bro, when you get net on and go invisible, a matchup does not matter anymore, bro. Matchups. What's a matchup to an invisible net sequence? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm gonna say Smoke's like right there with Cyrax though. Keep that in mind. If you skip to the end of the video and you're like, Tweedy, why do you have Smoke right there? I'm saying with Cyrax. Without Cyrax, I think he's like right there. So yeah, keep that in mind. All right, so Sub-Zero, kind of the same story as Smoke, right? Where like with Chameleon, he's really good. But okay, here's my super woke take. Here's my super woke take about Sub-Zero. This is my super woke take about Sub-Zero. I feel like low-key, Sub-Zero Chameleon is one of the most like in-depth teams to fight as far as like you kind of need knowledge of like, oh, he's gonna katana flow here. Oh, he can mix me up here. Oh, he could do this and that here. But low-key, with all that stuff, he's like always kind of unsafe or really unsafe. So I feel like right now, with people being bad against it, he's like right here. But I feel like long term, Sub-Zero Chameleon's like right there. I feel like high mid tier, like right at the top of mid. I just feel like long term, once we start recognizing situations where he's going to use Molina more and start guessing right more, when we're going to start punishing like sliding the float more the right way, stuff like that, I feel like he's just going to make his way down the tier list. But right now, when everyone's bad against Sub-Zero Chameleon, he's probably like in this range. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Let me know how y'all feel. I don't know. And then without Chameleon, he's probably like down here ish. But with Chameleon, he's like right here, I would say. But yeah, it's just my opinion on it. Okay, so Tanya. Remember, last tier list, I did put Tanya top 1. I don't feel like I was that off. I feel like she's really broke. I just feel like I wasn't woke on how good some other characters are right now. I do feel like she's really strong, and I do feel like the reason we didn't see her a lot at Combo Breaker is because certain players weren't there. And also, with Cyrax being added back in and her not really being a beneficiary of Cyrax, that does kind of make her less relevant, kind of, in like a potential Final Combat situation. Like, if they didn't add Cyrax back, I'm pretty sure we were going to see a lot of Tanya from like Tekken Master, Face Out, and maybe some other players of Final Combat. But now with Cyrax added in, they might not even use her. But I still just feel like the launching armor and like the mid string and stuff like that is really good. One of her drawbacks though is like against a patient player, she does kind of have to throw you over and over again for 11% to win, and her projectile is not really that good. So I would say like bottom of top. I would say like bottom of top tier Tanya is where I would put her. Are y'all? I think that's my tier list. I think that's pretty accurate feeling of. Remember, big thing about Smoke. If you skip to the end of the video, I only got Smoke here because I feel like he's crazy with Cyrax. If Cyrax gets re-nerfed, I think Smoke's like right here. Just keep that in mind. If you skip to the end of the tier list, keep that in mind. But yeah, this is my tier list right now. I think Peacemaker's the best character in the game. I think Geras is the worst. So yeah, y'all, that's gonna be the video. Appreciate y'all. Much love.